Hey guys, this is Iamvanguard's Cardfight Vanguard podcast here with Domino Paris, and welcome back, Simon.
Evan.
Yo,
Holy, holy shoot, Simon! It has been so long since I've seen you. I think I saw you like the last time I saw you was like episode I don't know, like 7, 8.
Well, when Final Fantasy comes out in Magic, you gotta play some Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's been a thing, right? The Magic and the Final Fantasy collab. I think it's been very popular around this area too. But yeah,
been a big hit.
hmm So I know it's been about 2 weeks for me and Gabe. How about Simon? Just update us how you what you've been doing for Vanguard, or what you're interested in so far, or any special tournaments that you've been winning while you were out.
Absolutely nothing. I've been playing Final Fantasy.
Damn,
Taking your break.
damn, Final Fantasy life. How about you, Gabe?
I mean, just standard locals. We're doing a lot of playtesting with like Langdomire mainly. Langdomire has really been my focus, and I think for the most part the deck's been solved for me. Minus maybe a ratio here and there of like a single card, but for the most part I've been good with the build. Promos, new sets of promos just came out. There's a new Dark States promo that I think is pretty nice that I want to try and get a hold of. I'll definitely
Oh, you
try
talk about the
to look into
succubus?
that. Yeah, yeah. Like she gotta have to be a nice tech choice. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so that's gonna be something that'll motivate me more for locals. But I think right now, like I'm kinda like on plateau with Vanguard right now. Just waiting for Philly. Philly is coming closer and closer. I know we've been
Next month.
testing
Next
David for
month.
stuff. Next
Yeah.
month, literally next month. Yeah, yeah. It's July's already done.
Oh,
So
we need to start
we're
booking for hotels too.
yeah, a lot of planning that's up ahead. Exciting though, it's exciting because ever since Rosemont, I've been kind of itching to kind of get back into, even though it's teams this time, I just want to get back into that environment again because it's fun. It's fun. I think that's really the peak of enjoying this game is going to those events, regional events, and everything.
For sure. And is Blangdemeyer the deck that you are kind of settling on?
Well, because somebody had to delay Virgilla trial decks, so I can't play Virgilla. Virgilla, well, not I wasn't 100% on Virgilla, but it was like there for me as a
Right,
good
right.
possible option. But whatever, they made up for it with the Overlord promo being announced for the next manga volume, so I'm excited for that.
Exciting. Yeah, so that's good. That's gonna bring up a lot of the silent Overlord players back to the game. And the nice thing about that is like, I don't know if you know, Gabe, but like set 9 has those like energy generators. It has the old characters like Kai or Aichi in it.
Yep,
So that's
yep.
gonna be a huge motivator for all these Overlord or like old Alfred MLB fans.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I already saw with the other ones with the what's it, Ishiki, the Messiah player, and Chrono. Like people were
Oh,
already.
Ibuki,
I know.
yeah,
Yeah, or excuse me, Ibuki. Yeah, there are people even in our locals shelling out money for them. So, I mean, I'm a Kai fan, so for sure I would like to try and get them, but I'm not going to pay for them. But I know for sure if I pull like Aichi or the others, Mizaki and stuff, like people will throw money at me.
that makes sense. You use that money to get Kai, right?
Well, I'll trade, but I'm not going to like pay out of pocket for novelties. I'm kind of past that point now. I've had my time, playing gotcha games, paying hundreds, thousands of dollars on PNGs and
Yep.
novelty cards that now sit in my closet, not doing a damn thing for me. So,
You're
uh,
still playing a gotcha game now. I know you're in on the horse girls.
yeah, but it's like very minimal. It's
Yeah.
very minimal.
I'm
Very
only taking a
minimal.
couple shots, man. Only a couple shots of heroin, all right? You can't get on me about that, dude. Come on.
Hey man, I haven't logged in for like 3 days because I've been playing Shadowverse.
Which is another gotcha.
Whatever. And life is a gotcha.
Yeah, life is gotcha. But I
Oh my
was gonna
god.
say for myself, I've been Gabe's test buddy for his Blangdemeyer. None of the decks that I have currently are kind of relevant for the meta. So I haven't been like super motivated to play current meta, but I've been testing decks that are coming out in the future, like the Duel stuff. I've been testing Liel recently. I actually really like it, so I'm looking forward to that. Heart Lulu,
You
I've been
saw when we competed. You saw when we concluded with Jewel
yeah.
and Liel. Jewel and Liel, pretty good.
Liel was actually a lot better than I anticipated, so far so
Yeah,
good. I've already tested Heart Lulu, and I already know that deck is really good. So that's probably the deck I'm locking in for Philly for myself, because most
I agree.
likely next week's ban list, it will be the ban list that we're anticipating. But obviously we don't know yet. But most likely.
I mean, yeah, I like every time there's the longer the discussions go of the anticipation of next ban list, it's very ambitious what people are guessing. A lot of times, like, there's really nothing too crazy that goes on, or we end up just mimicking what Japan is doing. So, if you really had to ask me for my guess, I'll just say it'll probably just mock what Japan did
Yeah.
recently with Sagra and such, and kill that, kill. Like, see, Sagra is not even gonna die
Well,
afterwards.
it's gonna kill Raziel for sure.
Well, Drag
Raziel,
Beta should
yeah.
just be banned. Drag Beta should be banned from Bob Sagra, and yeah, Raziel will probably,
Yep, because they're gonna hit the
lose
dogs.
his, he'll lose the ownership of his dogs, so he has to become a cat person.
Lose the ownership. Okay.
Yeah, lose custody of their dogs. So
Yep. So actually, speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a quick review on the recent list from Japan. It was the shop tournament, so basically locals. It was from July 28th to March 3rd. So this week. So this is the recent set. So this is with set 9 and Buddy Fight out, I believe.
yeah, Buddy Fight.
Yeah, it's interesting how they adapted this into the card game. But if we look at the list, obviously, people that still play Youthberg are still playing Youthberg. I mean, because the thing is, Youthberg is a very good, like, go first deck. So,
It's a trap deck, in my opinion.
Huh?
I think it's a trap deck.
Trap
deck.
Yeah.
I mean, it spends all of its gas early, and if you don't kill them, then it's kind of just over.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's how they designed Youthberg, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a trap. It's just, with decks like Bava Sagra that have a 20k shield on demand, and Virgilla, which effectively has the same thing, then it's just tough for Youthberg to break in, especially if he loses the die roll to go second.
Yeah,
For sure.
Youthberg is like one of those decks where people are very enamored by that one big flashy turn, but then everything else about it in other aspects and stage of the game is kind of.
Well, this is Vanguard. A lot of things can happen, right? Like, they hit a heal or an OT and all your resources are gone. Because, stuff like Bava Sagra and Virgilla. Virgilla really doesn't have a back foot to be put on if they hit a super trigger. Because, what do? You sit there with two 15k interceptors, X amount in hand as well, and you're like, okay, you hit an OT, I'll just wait, right? Same thing with Bava Sagra. You don't need to spend Counterblast to restand your dudes or anything. And Youthberg, if they hit because all of its commit is front loaded, they hit the OT, but you already Persona Road, so you lost one of your bursts already, and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah. No, for sure. And then I'm seeing a couple Virgilla decks. As Simon was saying, Virgilla is really good.
It only got good because took Alfred's thing. It's only good because of Royals. Fight me.
Look, man, that's how I felt with Artisaria taking away what should have been Brantgate's mechanic. The hell? That should have been Chaos Breaker Dragon.
Heart Lulu is still doing really good. I mean, technically it is set 9 for Japan with Buddy Fight expansion, so it does make sense that Heart Lulu is still dominant as set 9 at meta. Minerva is still a thing.
I forgot about Minerva.
Yeah, Minerva's actually not bad. Set 9 because it's a potential like what 5-6 attack deck.
Yeah, its burst is strong too because it buffs the front row.
Yeah.
So it has the attacking prowess that Bavasagra has. It just doesn't have the defense she has.
Right. And then Buddy Fight. I think this is the main decks that's been um out is the Katana World deck. I think when I used to play Buddy Fight, Katana World wasn't like the strongest deck, if I remember. But let's see. Yeah, I think
My meta Buddy Fight was just very early on in the game that I kind of dropped off.
yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, a lot of us kind of dropped off after like Dungeon World came out.
Well,
I heard Dungeon World was insane.
I was chilling on Dungeon World. I didn't care because I played Thunder Dragons, which was literally like very defensive, and it was anti OTK. So
Yeah.
I was chilling. But the meta, obviously the meta shifted a lot around.
Yeah.
So yada yada, card game rotation, and it wasn't my main game.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, my memory's sake for that game, I've always played like the best deck in the format because I knew that Buddy Fight was one of those like decks that require a lot more like meta based decks to win. And I think at the time I was more of a win first type person. So, but let's see. Overall, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the Heart Lulus, the Estation and the Virgilla decks, which we're all anticipating. What deck is this? Is that Phantom Blaster?
At the very bottom, if I think what you're looking at is what I saw, then yeah, there was a Phantom Blaster that topped.
Ooh, high rarity too. Yeah.
Yep, good for them. Gets to show off the wallet and gets to win. Nice.
Ooh, there's like two Avas. That's really good.
Ava very underrated.
Yep. Prison is there too.
Prison's always a dark horse.
Let's see here. Youthberg, yep, that's a Youthberg. I think people in Japan really enjoy decks like Youthberg. That's just
Hey, if it's their niche, right?
Yeah.
If it works, that's what I say.
Varga, Heart Lulu. Yeah, honestly, Heart Lulu is like really doing good.
I mean, the deck cannot go wrong because it tells you everything to do. So, no surprise there.
Yeah, it's crazy because if you
has,
look
like different things.
and if you look at like the recent WGP results, right? Which I can probably tag you guys like really quick on it. So it was really funny because I was actually looking into it the other day when we had our friend Max over. So if you look at the list, and if you guys can look up Heart Lulu, I think it was like 40th, but the deck just came out and it's already like in the 40th ranking, which is crazy. So recent WGP results, Malaysia, I think this is their top 8, and 4 out of their top 8 was Heart Lulu. In Thailand, I think out of their top 32, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them were Heart Lulu. Korea, there's a Heart Lulu top, and so on and so forth. Like if you see, like there's so much Heart Lulus in every team, and I think right now it's a team format. So I just think it's really like it kind of shows the results. Like as much as like there's a lot of like anti people saying that Heart Lulu isn't a good deck. I'm just like, yeah, but
I don't know who those people are. No
way. Results do not lie. Because if you look at this result already, like a whole variety of people are playing Heart Lulu. I mean, of course, each version is different, right? Even though I don't really think like there should be too many versions of it, but it's there. The results are there. Results are showing. So I definitely think this is going to be the deck for set 9 for sure. Especially like if you're like kind of newish to the game, this is a deck I highly recommend to play.
Even if you're a veteran of the game, right? Like the fact that that thing can happen to the deck to make it really like go wrong is really appealing to it. It's not only is like what Gabe said, it's idiot proof, but even decks that like retire and tempo it down and stuff, like it doesn't care. It's in green, so anything you retire, it gets back. It pulls cards out of soul. It has proper rear guards with high quality. It's sort of the everything deck. It's why it frustrates me a little bit because I'm like, hey man, like Royals have to work hard to get even half of that amount of consistency.
Yep. Like Royals and Cogros always get the short end of the stick because I mean they were the originals of their respective mechanics, and then of course everything afterwards is just going to be a better version of them. Like Royals, like they're very consistent. They can be very consistent, but it's a heavier cost, and they tend to lose steam very easily late game compared to others that they just get stronger late game. Like why do you get this for free? Back in my day.
Back in my day, I had to
free
counterblast
superior
2
pull.
to call a free guy. And now they get to pull it out for free inside of this little dude in a coat at a circus.
Oh, remember you go to 5 damage early to get 5 open counterblast. So you get Alfred into counterblast 3 for Alfred to call out Blaster Blade, so you can counterblast 2 to retire.
And that was a good play back then.
And yeah, that was like, oh my god, that's an insane play.
Yeah, I think.
Where have we went?
No, I was gonna say, like, I know that we're kind of doing pretty good on time, but maybe now that we actually talked about the, you know, card stealing, card designs, and making it easier and whatever not, maybe this is a good time to jump into our main topic. So the question is, are card designs really boring right now for you guys?
I think like well, Simon, I'll let you go first with your thought.
Yeah, I'll lead on this since I was the one that technically brought it up with
Uh-huh,
everybody.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
It is that my big thing right now with Vanguard card design is that I feel like everything is starting to get samey, if that makes sense, right? Like everything is getting triple drive in some way or shape. Everything gets an extra attack in some way or shape. It was just shown with the episode with Megumin, where they revealed in the Cookmillion preview. It's like, oh well, now everybody's going to be getting a top 7 searcher and whatnot. And I was like, man, this is sort of piling on top of the whole fact that I think I'm not a big fan of the recent bans Bushiroad did. I don't like that they limited defensive options because I think the game keeps getting stronger. And I think taking defensive options away from us during something like that is very dangerous. I get a lot of people that have talked to me and said, well, you can't let Bava Sagra, who's already the most defensive deck, have access to that Blitz order, right? And I'm like, well, while I understand that, what I think they should have done is I think they should have given a Blitz order like that to everyone rather than take it from Bava Sagra. Because one of the reasons I think Bava Sagra is so good is because it has access to both unparalleled offense and incredible defense. I think a lot of decks can catch up to it if they get access to that defense. Because it's not like Bava Sagra is the most aggro deck ever created, right? Like you look at Youthbrick is a really good example we just talked about, where Youthbrick has all of the gas, but it has none of the stability. Well, that kind of gets fixed if you give it another Blitz order. That's similar to the Dragon Empire one. I understand that this gets to a power creep point in defense, where suddenly we might be hitting stuff like the G Guardians again that retired or moved them into the deck to get basically a free Sentinel shield. But I don't know. Like the ban lists, that what really got me with the ban list besides that is they errated the Zorga orders. And regardless of the reason why, I don't like when the company stifles our creativity like that. If players are smart enough to find out something cool, I would say that instead of punishing the players for doing such a thing, you should embrace what they did and try to share that with the rest of the community to encourage variety and raising the ceiling in your card game. But instead, they choose to ban these things instead because it's outside the fences that they set, which has partially is the big reason why I went so big into Final Fantasy, is because they do that, and I don't like the way that Bushiroad's piloting this shit basically. Like, that's all I've got to say on it. Like, Gabriel can give his opinions on it as well now, but that's basically where I stand and why I'm so, like, sort of out of the game right now.
Yeah, like, for me, because me and David were talking about it as we were playtesting with Drajul, and I was like, man, Drajul, this kind of feels like I'm playing Chrono Jet, but just with different steps. It's like everyone, I feel like ever since they transitioned to no clans but nations, I think there's really good intention behind it, and I think there's definitely nice benefits in the long run. But I think we're starting to see diminishing returns in some of the benefits of it, and just that because everything is nation based, I just feel like everything has become watered down as far as just unique deck design, because as far as mechanics are concerned, just like what Simon was saying, almost everyone and their mother has 4 attacks or more. Like a 4 attack, get an extra boost, search your deck or search top, or some sort of get a free plus on your board. I think almost every nation can do that in some way,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of get a 4th attack somewhere, and maybe once in a while sprinkle in some kind of guard restrict or one like unique ability. It almost feels comparatively to Weiss Schwartz, where like every deck kind of, I mean, every deck pretty much shares the same type of mechanics that's spread across like different decks, and it just depends with certain sets getting certain combinations for themselves. And at least in my time, like playing Weiss, I mean, this was like almost 10 years ago or 8 years ago, but there were some few decks that had like some unique finisher to them, but it was always like in the form of, okay, burn your opponent, get an extra attack, or do something like that. So I feel like Vanguard is kind of getting there. It almost made me feel like in, I think it was like the Stride era, G Stride era, or like post Chaos Breaker era, where everyone and their mother was becoming a restanding Vanguard. Like Overlord the End was very unique back then because it wasn't often that we saw like, oh man, a restanding Vanguard with and you get 4 drive checks. And obviously there's a
You
condition for it, but man.
you were speaking about Limit Break right now, because after Chaos Breaker came out, remember we started getting restanding Vanguards and some
Yeah,
clans that
Minerva.
never had access to it to fight against board locking.
Yeah, because I remember I always joke like, man, Minerva helped save the format because she came in and, because she obviously posed one main threat to Chaos Breaker, but then once Break Ride era came, that's where we started seeing more like restanders come in to play, and it started to become a lot more commonplace as we transition over to G Stride era or like just multi attack in some way. But even then, there was still I still felt like I was playing a different deck, or at least I felt some kind of distinction with different decks when I played them. Now, granted, I that could just be me, not me having to diversify my own personal collection of decks, because I know there's still some uniqueness and distinction between decks out there. But if you look within a single nation, like Drajul, there was really nothing that excited me about it because I was playing Chrono Jet already. And when we were playtesting David, I don't know, it's like it just felt like Chrono Jet to me.
Right.
And like ODM is pretty unique in its own way, but then after I was playing it, I was like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really sense any spark from it. Like Blankemeyer, I enjoy a lot because Blankemeyer to me feels very unique. The divine skill obviously is a big part of that, but like it feels very distinct to me because it is one of those decks where you actually have to change up your entire game plan around the Blankemeyer, and you can get punished for that a lot. So I don't know. I feel like there's enough distinction with Blankemeyer that at least makes it feel refreshing to play for me personally. But then the core of it, without the divine skill, is the same: 4 attacks. Here's some removal. Here's some bigger numbers. That's it. And then call from the soul. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of mechanics being shared across all the spaces, and they're really good, safe choices when it comes to deck design and deck improvement. So I think it's really nice, but at the same time, there isn't a lot of. I don't like to use the word originality because I feel like that's such a vague, misinterpreted term.
Well,
But
that sort of goes into the whole everything's been done already. There can't be originality, right?
well, I feel like there's not enough. There's not a lot of riskier designs to per se, because there's like if you look back in the history of Vanguard, I mean, there's definitely some decks that had some really nice, unique design, and it was either very bad that it didn't make any impact, or it did like change the meta very immensely. But it was a cool, unique design, and you could probably name them through these past eras, like Marigize back in end of G Stride era, and I mean, Mara Novell, obviously that was meta breaking. Remember when they introduced Locke for the very first time? That was a
Yeah,
mistake, probably, but
Yeah,
it was a mistake.
Locke was a huge mistake.
so I could definitely understand them being a little bit more conservative with the card design, so that kind of like everyone feels like they're benefiting of something that is very
Mhm.
of like of a mechanic that most meta decks have, but I think at the same time, I feel like they're just being more conservative with the card design because they don't want to propel the meta again. So it's kind of like there is power creep still in this game, but I think they're just trying to keep it on a steady incline
Yeah.
rather
So
than just giving something in like all at once. But I don't know.
to
That's kind
go
of like
off
how I'm
of
viewing it.
what Gabe is saying, right? Like one of the things I forgot to mention for a quote that summarizes how I feel about where nations went is there's so much archetype-based stuff now that it doesn't feel like they diverted clans into nations and we had the opportunity to become more broad. I feel like we went in the opposite direction where we're even worse than clans now, and there's no nation identity like they stated there was going to be, which it sucks, but it's how it kind of goes right now. The other thing I would say right now for what Gabe is saying is I think I'm a little weird in the fact that if you're going to do something to this game, right? Something that's going to be like meta breaking or something, or you want to give some spice to the game, I would rather someone be more aggressive on the strategy. And while Lock was a mistake, it did change the game. And I would rather that people try to experiment with shit like that.
Mhm.
And make things interesting, even if it might be unhealthy for a little bit, because you can always errata or ban cards. I don't like what's been happening lately with the homogenization of skills because now, like, I know what to expect from everything. I don't get surprised. I don't get an emotional reaction of some kind, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Um,
Yeah,
if
I
I
hear you. I mean,
if
yeah.
I can throw on a little bit as well. So So I'm gonna say, like, from my perspective, it is getting a little bit repetitive, right? But I think this was until like after set five, if for divines at least, is how I feel. The reason why I feel that way is I think up to set five, everything was a little bit unique. For example, I think Divines 1 was probably the most exciting set for me because that's when they announced like a whole bunch of different strategies of Vanguard. So, for example, like Varga, right? So, well, obviously, like we've seen it before, but at least like it was kind of a new way of bringing players in. Razaya was unique because they had the divine skill of healing. Let's see. And then set two
I
had
think
Blangdemeyer. Like I mean, like I can see where they're going with their designs, but I think like after set five, it became a little bit similar. On effects, like a lot of the decks were doing what Odium does. A lot of the decks were doing what Varga does. A lot of the decks are doing like the multi attack thing. So, like if you think about it, Levitress was kind of unique too, in a way.
Yeah, I liked it.
But you see what I mean is like I think set five was like the stop of uniqueness. Like Sacrifice Glass was very unique. My perspective. I actually still have it in my box. But Sacrifice was very unique. I mean, Dayusha was Dayusha. Like, I didn't really expect much, but it was different than the previous versions, right? So I feel like that they maybe right now they're on a little like they're on a wall because I think definitely after Bob Sagra, they've been like not even that like I'm gonna say like after the Stride decks, right? Like the Nubatama one, I think they've been very careful with their designs, and and as you said, Simon, I think it's a very good and a bad thing. It's good because that they're caring for the health, but then again, they shouldn't really care about the health concern because it's not like they do it all the time anyways. And a bad way is like the game's getting boring. So that's just how I feel towards the current designs.
I think like especially in this era, like the energy generator era, basically like D format, it, it did provide a lot more stability ever since the ride deck came out. The ride deck, made things a lot more consistent in the early game, a lot more planned, a lot more formulaic, and it alleviated one of the main pain points of Vanguard, which is grade lock. So I mean, shit. I mean, shoot. How many? I don't think it's funny because I remember talking about it with new players before, and they don't even know what I meant when I said grade lock to them. They're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh God, we've come a long way." But I remember talking to one of the old school players I hadn't seen in a while, and he tried D format early on, and he said, while it is a lot more stable, a lot more consistent, like to have the ride deck, to have more planned energy, to have, like a mechanic that makes it more consistent and redundant. He said it does take away some of the fun of not having the same sequences early game. So sometimes you have to plan ahead for that. Sometimes, your deck building does take that into account as well. So, it does bring a little bit more stability, but at the same time more redundancy, which sometimes people get tired of. And really with I think like the way the deck design is now, because of that, it kind of just feels like you're just playing up to turn 4 and you're just trying to
Yeah.
shut down the game. You're just going through the motions to turn 4, and you already have like a strategy guide on what you're supposed to be doing up to that point. That's really it. And when you're playtesting, you're just playtesting to memorize how to hit the buttons, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
It's like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sure.
You learn your flowchart, and then after you learn your flowchart, you just reiterate that flowchart every single game. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, because it's like playtesting. Like the mindset is more of how do I follow this strategy guide for the deck, and then there are still fundamentals to be applied, which does make the difference between different skill levels of players. You could say, but I mean, you're really that's just fundamentals. That has nothing to do with like the deck itself. And there's really like in standard at least, there's not as much control over the result of the outcomes of the games by the player, but more so the deck by your deck and variants as well. So I don't know. It's like I still feel like there's some influence you can still have as a player to the outcomes of your games, but the decks kind of like are steering everything for you, and it's really like I still think like the ongoing issue with the game is whoever goes first still has a lot of advantage, and I don't think stride decks really solve that. Because strides, I mean, there are stride decks that still had their time. To shine the meta Messiah, I think is still like really solid deck. But I picked up a few stride decks myself, and I don't even like them anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just yeah, like I don't know. I think the strides in theory could have changed things, but for me, they kind of fell for me personally. So I don't know, like the game feels very formulaic. I think right now people are kind of tired right now because of how formulaic the game is.
Bob Sagra.
Well, well, it's not even just that. It's just like I feel like the game is pretty formulaic that you're able to solve your deck as far as figuring out your deck build within a week or two. So there really isn't a lot of room for growth or improvement. Because I'm at this point now, and then I know some of the more competitive guys in our area too. Like once they solve their deck, they're kind of done. And they really only like to come out to play when it's a high leverage situation, like I don't know, like a case tournament or
Vanguard day.
regionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but even Vanguard Day, I don't know, like, you know,
Well,
sometimes,
yeah,
but
it depends on the playmat and the promotion at the time.
yeah, but it's just like it always feels like, especially when it comes to discussions around the game, I think people are talking more about the future
Yeah.
of like next sets rather than what we currently have.
Yeah.
Because like people kind of get over the set comes out, meta's like already like kind of reestablished, and people kind of get over it within like a few weeks. And now the conversations all transition to okay, well, what's the next league? What's the next league? And I don't know, people keep having these expectations that the next league is going to be some crazy like crazy support, and it's been happening within this past year. I won't say like it annoys me, but it's just like people keep saying, "Oh man, this new card, it's mid, whatever." I'm like, well, that's they're not designing cards like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, so but that could also be reflective on where they're going with the design and why they're probably. Well, I won't say there's less excitement in the game because I can't speak for the entire player base because I think the game is still relatively successful, but at least for me personally, and with us in our group, that's kind of like what I've been observing.
Hmm. Yeah. I definitely think like how should I say it? People still like to play and they want to play. But as you were saying is that they got the whole I think like the whole thing of why card games are exciting is the deck build. Like how to make your deck better, what's a secret tech that other players are not using that I'm using. Those are also one of the excitements of card games, but and like I said, I'm not gonna say it's a bad thing, right? I do think having a ride line, and then obviously like having a solid build is good, but I feel like that now there's less brain power towards deck build. And as you were saying, is that because that there's so many generic cards, and I think that's actually the biggest problem, my opinion, is that Vanguard right now has too many staple cards, is what they say. Kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! In a way, like they have, you have to play your Mirror Force, you have to play one MST, one Heavy Storm, like that's a set requirement.
David, stop. You're dating yourself. You're letting everyone know how old you are.
No, stop. Anyways, but let me continue. But see, I think that's also the main problem why the deck builds are so similar is that we're only basically playing cards that are staple first before like we're running stuff that is different. And I feel like that's why for me, at least compared to other players, is I choose to play decks that require less staples if possible, like Direful Dolls. Heart Lulu is gonna be another one, by the way. So
Oh
those,
yeah, fucking. You've seen my Rezael deck, where it's just all Rezael tribal cards. I agree with David on this one for sure. I have more fun with that.
yeah, I think like because that those are the type of decks that don't. Well, they actually you can't run staples because they have their set of cards to run. So for me, figuring a deck build for Direful Dolls is much more exciting than like I don't know a meta deck because that
Kenner
Direful Dolls.
pile inside of
Yeah, Keter
Rezael.
Pile. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that I think that's also another reason why I kind of like stopped playing Razile for a little bit because with the dog and the Keter package, like it was kind of set. But for Direful Dolls, it's like, oh well, I'm running these. I mean, of course, like it looks the same, but there are some differences between like other players that play the same deck, right? Because Direful Dolls is actually like a deck that doesn't require staples. So that means like there's other things that you have to tweak around with. So yeah, I think the main, at least like for me, I think the staples are also another problem in this game right now. Is that it's such a yeah, it's such a staple to play these staples, right? If you know what I mean, like the generics, like the
And now we're
recyclers,
just
yeah.
like
So
you have to just play. You have to like play certain cards because you pretty much are obligated to if you want your deck to run well. And there's not a lot of room to really try something different because it's like, oh, is this not going to be as good?
Yeah, because you effectively gimp yourself if you just don't play it, and that's what gets to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think there can be both sides to it because on one end, for a lot of deck builders, they don't like that, but sometimes even for someone like me, where you're coming in and out of the game, or if you just want to get into the deck, it'll be a lot easier to kind of just get into it, get into a new deck, knowing what to do, and you can kind of solve your deck a little bit faster. Because sometimes, like if sometimes people could be a little bit overwhelmed, and it could be very daunting that they just don't bother. So there could be two sides to
Yeah,
this, but um, it'd just be good if there are different options.
yeah,
Because I mean, I don't know. It kind of goes back to like clans versus nations, because like with clans, although there were a lot of clans that I thought were just highly redundant,
yeah,
and sometimes I don't understand why they exist,
yeah,
but there was still some uniqueness amongst clans of similarity that have enough differences that they do feel like different decks, similar mechanics, but they have different decks and different ways to build. So with nations, I think we're kind of getting there, but it's just like it's kind of diluted right now because there's like a nation pile that pretty much everyone uses. Dark States low key has their own cater like pile as well.
yeah.
Like Philia, Folklore, Revertes, like Philia, Folklore, Revertes.
And
Like you just
discards.
splash that in.
Yeah,
And Tisk, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and Tiscar's like you just splash those into any Dark States deck,
because
and that pretty much like makes up most of the deck, like a third of your deck.
like I think for me, right? Like, I think a good example of that, Gabe, is like remember like how I was building the Jewels like in 5 minutes, and then I was like, all right, Gabe, let's play test. Because the thing is, like, basically for the deck, I was just running staples. Like, and I just played it how it was, and I think that's why like I was figuring out the deck a lot quicker because it had a Keter it basically had a Dark States pile.
Yeah, I
So
mean that's really what you do, because everything is nation based. So whatever pile you invest into, then you kind of just splash that into the next deck. But for budget reasons, I also look for decks that don't rely on those, so
yeah,
that it's a lot cheaper
like I
to
think
build.
Levy Dress is a very good example of that. Is that at first like you thought like it would actually require staples, but the more you see it, you actually kind of move away from those. So I think Levy Dress was a very good unique deck from my opinion as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think what's the one deck that you like to play? Lascaria?
Uh, I had that to the side. I enjoyed it when I did, when I had it put together
Mhm.
before I, switched it to Levy Dress because it wasn't out at the time for me. I do have the other Veleno support, and yeah, like Lascaria seems like a fun defensive type deck. It has a pretty unique style. The design of the cards are pretty cool. So like Lascaria, and it's a nice budget option too for people.
Mhm. I think
I think like there are decks out
yeah.
there that
Like
could be really
Ava is
unique.
really good and it's very unique in a way too, because
Yeah.
it doesn't run like a staple pile. So I think those are the type of decks that kind of excite you to play, if you know what I mean. 'Cause there's more things to do with that.
Yeah, and I mean, with my collection of decks, it's more of I have like my one or two decks that I choose between when it's just my I want to win decks. I
Mhm.
still like them, hence why I choose them out of the other choices. But once I solve those decks, then and I kind of like exhaust my use of them. I kind of I still have them ready. Like if there's hey, look, a box tournament or special tournament going on, okay, cool, I'll bring it out. But I still have other decks, lower cost and just something different, just so I can kind of play and just have something a little bit different to play.
So what about you, Simon? What kind of decks like personally like and trigger you to pick up?
Well, usually when it comes down to D series, at least, like I'll pick up any Royal Paladin deck, sure, but Royal Paladins are boring as hell. What really makes me want to pick up decks in D specifically are things that are D mechanics, right? A good example is Bavasagra with her arms mechanic, Zorga with pairing orders together, so you can play foul blackjack with your deck. Like, mechanics you can only find in D. Like when you've been playing Vanguard as long as we have, especially, I like variety. I like seeing things I haven't seen in Vanguard before after all these years, which is a big reason why I take the whole homogenization thing really hard. Because I'm like, dude, G era, we went down to everybody gets quad drive after Gancelot got it. And D or in V series era, everybody got marker generation after it was a problem and everything. I know this sounds kind of weird coming from the guy that says, well, I wish they gave the defensive options to everybody. But I'm all like, dude, there's a right and a wrong way to, like, do this right now. And I think that when the problem is that your game is too offensive and you take away defensive options, you're kind of pushing how you want us to play the game versus trying to give us a healthy game.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Vanguard, I like unique things. That's why I like clans a lot. And at the beginning of D series, I really liked how it was looking that we were going to um, what we were going to get uh, uh, with Zorga and them, and getting unique mechanics. And then Buffasaga was revealed. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, Overdressed was a little up there, but I played Xyz format, so to me it was just bad Xyz. I don't like where it's gone now, where everybody's getting the same thing.
Right,
It feels like I'm playing the same game again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, like the playstyle is a big essential for me. But I also like care about the artwork as well. So for me, it's like playstyle and mechanics. But nowadays, I've been kind of sticking with any Keter or Dark State decks. But I also think like that's also kind of a trap for myself. Is I picked up Youthburg because it only needs a Keter pile, so I picked it up and I got bored with it instantly. So I think that's just a bad direction of picking decks. But decks like Direful Dolls or Sacrifice Glass, those are decks I picked up on my own regards because I like the playstyle of the deck because they were unique. So I think the playstyle does matter for me, but the artwork does partially matter as well because that's why I play Royals as well, just as Simon does. Alfred is actually one of my favorite units in Vanguard right now, just because it reminds me of Sabers. So that's one thing that artwork kind of matters for me too. Like it's super boring, but for me it's an appeal. So
Hey, I like boring, and that's why I like playing that deck.
yeah, no. Alfred is what you call super boring, but it's more boring without the Galatine. And I think me and Simon were kind of ranting about that earlier before the podcast started.
Galatine. I may love playing that deck now, but I can feel it missing Galatine right now. I'm all like, good old Bushi not giving a crap about us in America. Some things never change.
Yeah, but I would say though, if I do compliment something that's been going on recently, the festival collection was a best set. And then I know that they're doing a lot of reprints in general. This month's promo, they actually reprinted Cadwalla. So that's a card that was like I guess like a good staple for decks, but it was kind of a hard to get card in a way. So I think like Bushiroad's been doing really good with the reprints though. So I give him some extra credit for that. Personally,
Yeah, no,
the
it's great.
designs are getting boring.
I remember asking for that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking for that. It's like, hey, we should have a reprint set.
Yeah, well they've been doing it in the promos instead. So they would announce like a couple gift cards in the promo, but then they'll like reprint some like cards that people are like, wanting. And I think Hagwala was a really good print. Even though defensive roar got hit, they've been printing defensive roars. Cards like that, I just feel like that was a very good choice for them to start doing it in the promo packs. As much as like it sounds like, oh well, they don't make the best choices what to reprint. I agree, but they're still doing it, and I think they're putting some effort on my perspective. So I give them some credit for that. Um, Hopefully that card designs will kind of get exciting after the anime season ends, like the tournament arc series. Like if it ends, I think like maybe some uniqueness might come out because maybe a new character instead or a new mechanic, something like that, right? So that's something we'll have to look forward to. Even though I feel like that divine skill was actually a very interesting thing because it was like this once per turn skill, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, so that's just my opinion on that.
Actually, like the divine skills a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of them felt actually like really unique.
Yeah.
Or cool and stuff like that, like Raziel converting a trigger
and
everything.
Yeah, Blangdemeyer is a really cool effect if you think about it.
Oh yeah, I love Blankmeyer's effect. I can see why Gabe likes it so much.
I mean, Odium time skip. I mean, that's kind of cool too. Let's see what else. Like, I mean, Varga's like Overlord. Premium version in standard is how I feel like. Yeah, I mean, Divine Skill was really cool. Of course, some of them weren't like really, really good, but I think it was a good direction that they took. But I think with the criticisms, I might have feel like that Bushiroad kind of got less confident in their card designs. Question mark.
I don't think it's less confidence. I think they ran out of creativity.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the game has been around for a little bit, so it's gonna get relatively difficult to come up with something better each time or something different. His Sacrifice Glass was very unique. Was it good? No, but it was definitely unique. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is like that's what Bushiroad needs to do is like print more cards like Sacrifice Glass.
I don't know. It's a high low thing because most likely, like I mean gimmicks, right? It's like gimmicky decks. Either they are really bad and no one talks about them, or they're really too good and they destroy the meta.
Yeah.
That's the tough balance to kind of make.
And I think that's why Bushiroad's like trying to stay in that midline, like to be safe.
So we already saw Bat, the Bat deck.
Oh, the Bat deck.
Like, yeah, it's like God.
It was so funny because me and Simon were also talking about this earlier before you hopped on. It's like the Bat deck was actually just a promo. It wasn't meant to be a good deck.
That's why it never got hit.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a fun deck. And then
fun for the pilot.
Yeah. And then one card came out and just ruined the format. It was a common too, and that was like the surprising thing. It was a common card. Just ruined the format. So yeah, I mean you're right in a way. It can ruin the format completely, or it can, add some spice in a way. It's like right now we're eating like chicken noodle soup, but we need some spice in that because sometimes eating healthy isn't the best option. Sometimes you need.
I like chicken noodle soup.
I didn't know what to express. Like I'm just saying, we need some spice into our flavor right now. I think that's like where the game is at. Hopefully set 11 is gonna be that spice that we need, because set 11 is probably the final arc. It's probably gonna be the finals between the top 4, I believe. The Stokea girl, Michiru, Akina, and Erika.
And judging from the opening, the final battle is probably going to be with Akina and his sister. I
mean, pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that set 12 is to be the final set for this season. And hopefully, like, either they decide to go with Akina or not. I'm hoping that after the set 11 or 12, they add some spice into the game and kind of make it more exciting again, like it was like last year. Because last year it was definitely exciting to play.
Yeah, that's when we got the kings, we got the new divine skills and stuff like that. The energy cyclers were still fresh.
Yep. And also, like, as much as I hate to admit, Shoujo Doji was also very in its own ways a very very unique deck too. So I mean, yeah, I mean there's some spice into it, right? So I'm hoping that that's gonna be the change that we can get in the future. So I think that's all I can really ask for. It's so funny because people want balance, and then the next minute they're kind of like, oh, this is too much balance.
It's a very fine line.
Back and forth.
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's tough to get it right, especially
Yeah.
because card games have to be eternal. And if you mess up, if you mess up, you mess up bad. So
So we got a few minutes. What do you guys think was one of the biggest mess up mechanic other than lock? Because we already talked about lock so many times.
this is said as mostly a front-loaded joke, and I'll state that now. But I do have a real answer after it. What was a mistake for Vanguard was Bermuda Triangle stealing all of our shit.
Yeah, exactly. Lock was the one thing we had hanging on. I was like, hey, at least they don't have lock. What the fuck? Even the design looks like a Brandgate-esque. And then, of course, like I saw that if you look at the deck box for it, like artist area is like all black, red, and menacing, and then the rest is like all colorful, bright colors. Like, what is this weird contrast? This doesn't fit here. She doesn't belong here.
I knew I was gonna get Gabe with that. I knew I was gonna set him off with that.
Stupid. No, the biggest mistake was making Bermuda Triangle its own set. Or literally.
I mean,
Look at them go.
to be fair, that's like their money though.
That's how they get the rest of the weebs. They always get him some
Hey,
Bermuda Triangle.
hey, we have to thank them because that they're spending so much money on that one set. All these other sets can exist.
Yeah.
Gabe would do the Kylo Ren, and he's like, I'd rather burn the past. Watch him die.
Well,
I mean,
technically,
just make a brand new game.
I mean, also technically, Bermuda Triangles is not a thing. It's called Lyrical Monasterio.
Like, if you were to ask me what my real answer is besides luck, it's gifts. I think gifts were a mistake because they went too far.
You got where I wanted to get. Yes.
Like, it's gifts, dude. It went too far.
Yeah.
And there was no way to balance gifts if you went first versus going second. If you thought it was bad now, oh man, back during the V era.
Yeah, no, that was tough. V era was probably the mechanic that killed Vanguard in general, almost to like extinct.
Oh, yeah. Like I remember the transition from end of G into V era. Because like I remember with Gize, right? And, you know, Gize was like a scary deck, but I was playing Shahart, you know, Dark Irregulars at the time, and I was able to kind of hold my own against them because they're still, you know, there's still ways that I can still push them. But the minute they got protect markers, I can't do anything to them.
Yeah.
Were you playing against OTT Geese?
No, OTTs didn't exist. This was end of G era, and then we.
Oh, G era, not because you said protect markers, and I was like OTT Geese because I think that's the one he's talking about.
Yeah, OTT Geese was really good, but then Angel Feather Geese was the thing.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You said OTT. I thought you said OT like over trigger. I'm like, what?
Don't even get me fucking started on that shit. You're gonna have to bleep that out, David. Don't get me started on that shit.
I would say one more thing that I think was a mistake was the OTs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As much as like I know that it's the one differentiate thing in like D format compared to other formats. Like I think OT like they could have adjusted a little better or just not created it. that's another thing. Like I was saying, that's one of the biggest mistakes in Vanguard is to add OT in it. Even though
It
I
is
do
literally
understand, yeah, I do understand why, but yeah, I still
it's
don't
the
like
most
it.
I rather
soul-inducing mechanic ever.
I'd rather just like not have OT.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
a
of
lot of
course.
people agree. It's not a hot take at all. A lot of people would rather just not have OT in the game.
Yeah, I mean
Or
that's
just
what I
a
think too.
more or just a boggled down version of it.
Hmm. Yeah, so gifts,
Like
OTs, are definitely one of the bigger mistakes.
I do like the idea that, there's a unique OT for each nation. I'm like, well, why not just have like a specific trigger that's not OT, but it's like a new staple trigger that is unique to each nation. And it can be hybrid as well. It's like we have hybrid like units. Why not just have like a hybrid trigger?
Yeah.
And and depending, you can pick and choose depending on the situation, a skill or whatever. Like like a soul trigger, you reveal it, you can soul charge one, or instead of that, you can do something else, or you can retire something if it's a Dragon Empire one. I don't know, something like that.
I
I
mean,
feel like that's what they
yeah,
did with the Cray Elemental OTs, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I really wish they at least like lowered the power on the OTs though.
Oh yeah, my big problem with them is that they're 100 million. I'm like, dude, that's literally uninteractable in our game, basically. Come on.
Exactly.
Like,
Like
and there are
50K
certain
acceptable.
and there are decks. Not even just that, man. It's just like there are decks that if they flip OT on the right time, they just auto win. Like Blankmeyer, for example, like as a Blankmeyer player, like I will say like I feel bad sometimes if I just flip OT on Divine Skill, 'cause, like that's an auto win. You literally
Oh
can't
no,
do anything.
bro. No, I get what you're saying, but no. Red decks that have natural crit, like Mavasagra flipping the red OT, that's just a win. It's
Yeah,
over.
actually, that's the
You mean
win.
Drag Beta? You mean Drag Beta?
Yeah, like how do you
The
come
Dragon
back from a
Empire.
restanding 100 million that's gonna deal you 4 damage?
Man,
Yeah.
I don't know about you all, but one OT I personally really hate, and I've been like a victim to it, is the Brancade OT.
Everyone hates the Brancade
Yeah,
OTF that one.
they go crit OT, and I'm like, oh well, that's like 4 damage.
What do you do? Guess I'll die now.
Yeah, you just die. There's nothing you can do. So if I have a saying, that's probably like the OT I personally hate the most. Absolutely horrible.
A lot of people would agree with you, honestly.
Yeah, it's so bad. Uh, but how about well, so we're talking about the bad. So how about we talk about what was if you get to pick one, what's your favorite mechanic?
All of Vanguard or G series?
All of Vanguard.
All of Vanguard? Oh, my favorite mechanic was Legion. Absolutely. I love Legion.
Man, I hate you, Simon.
Yeah.
You keep picking the same thing as I do.
Yeah, that's because we're the same person, bruv.
Yeah, I definitely think Legion was one of my favorite mechanics. If I had to pick one. How about you, Gabe? What were you gonna say Legion too?
Legion was one of it, but if you just want to take it to even a smaller scale, uh, I personally like any type of removal mechanic that's built into any deck, which can
Limit Break.
include like
It's
Yeah,
Limit Break for him.
yeah, Limit Break.
Or Break
binding,
Ride, I
retire.
should say.
Break riding was cool. Like going back to it, like Break Ride era was like really cool, but then it did get stagnant after a while because because I even looked back at some of my old videos before because I was like, man, I want to know what it was like again. Like back then, I'm like, man, a lot of these turns were very vanilla-ish.
Yeah.
It's kind of like everyone was playing Youth Bird, like just one big turn and then kind of just sit.
Yeah, but for you, that's where what's his name? That's where Chaos Breaker came out of, and that's like your that's like your favorite card
Well,
from how you talk
keep
about it.
in mind, I didn't get into Chaos Breaker until G era. I was anti Chaos Breaker right when he first came out. I was playing like Eradicators and other stuff. So I decided to fight against it.
This
It
is
was
true.
G era that like I got into it.
Yeah, this is true actually. I can actually quote for that.
Yeah, but I like I like grinding. I like grinding out games, and I like it. I like when I can just play a grindy type game. So like Kagura when it's at its peak. and it's allowed to grind. So like removing your opponent's stuff while having some kind of playing pressure at the same time. So any combination of mechanics that's built into the deck that allows me to do that, that's what I like. I mean, that Langdomire is the closest I can get to it right now in its peak, at its peak. Maybe the
Levy
new
Dress.
promo, Overlord. The Levy Dress kind of, but I don't remove anything. It's more of it's more a deterrent. It's kind of like I have a sign in the front door saying "Beware of dog," but I don't really have a dog. But it should be enough to get people discouraged from breaking in my house. Versus like Kagura, where I actually have the dog, and I may not put a sign to warn them. They walk in and then they get bit.
Like that's the you have the strangest example, son.
But is it accurate or no?
You're talking to the guy that rushed into the dog, so no.
You're like, oh, I have resist. Or
yes.
It's like, oh, you bit off my leg? Oh, whatever. I'll just regenerate another one. Or I have another leg here.
Yes. I am the man spider from the Spider-Man cartoon. I'm sorry.
So me personally, like when Legion was out, I actually thought like there was a lot of things involved in Vanguard, like, because the thing is like, I think this was like a good timing too. This is like when break brides were like still relevant, but you know Legion also added some stuff to it, so maybe that's why. But also, I think the reason why, like at least I think Legion is my favorite mechanic, is because we have such a short time frame with it. I think that's why I personally pick it as like my favorite, because we have such a short time.
For myself, I think it's because it was slow. I like mid game. I like late game. Legion was based around having slow games that recharge your triggers. I love that. It was so good.
That's actually true, because I remember that some of my games for Legion era actually lasted a bit longer.
Yeah, and it was like recycling triggers, but then a lot of times there's mechanics that go off when you Legion. So sometimes, so it's like you can time it when to re-Legion, re-Legion again, and then you end up triggering other abilities. So
because I remember like Brawlers were a deck that did that. It's like they'll blow up, they'll like attack other things, like they'll kind of control the board state, and then they'll wait until their opponent like kind of legions, and then they'll legion, and then I remember like we always like ran into our last like 10 cards in a legion game.
Yeah.
So no, I completely I think that's one of the reasons why. Simon, what is your favorite unit all time?
You know what the answer is. Don't ask me that question.
No, what is it? No one else knows.
It's Blaster Blade. I am the Blaster Blade fanatic.
How about you, Gabe? All time.
Overlord.
Still Overlord?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, it's what got me into the game, and it's what sort of got me back in.
I think for me, well, not just because Simon said it, but for me, I was kind of debating between Alfred and Vanguard, but I think Vanguard is the one I really like.
It's a good pick. Sanctuary Guard Dragon looks awesome.
With Daigo, yeah, Daigo's main unit was Sanctuary Guard. So, but what really got me into the game was Alfred, though. Like when I first bought my first, well, not my first deck, but when I really enjoyed Vanguard is when I first picked up King of Knights Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was like my unit there.
No, that's good, man. Like the nostalgia we have for our old cards is always going to be there for us, especially in D series. Now that they've retrained a lot of them, so
you know what they really need to. You know what I think they should continue doing more or encounter decks.
Yeah, no,
I think they're definitely going to keep doing more. I think so.
No, you know what? Yeah, see, I knew he was going to say that. The reason why he wants it is until he gets his Dark Irregulars.
Doreen the Thruster is not meant to be played with Lukie. I refuse to accept that. She needs to be back home with Amon.
Son?
Dark Irregulars.
Son, that's not what they say in Bushiroad, and you know you have to listen to Bushiroad.
I don't give a damn. I'm waiting for that day, and it's gonna come.
Damn.
I mean, it's coming though. Like we know it because they gave us a unit that was meant, like, that was a Dark Irregular card. So there's no way they're gonna keep Pale Moon alive for that.
And the deck sucks anyway. So.
And there's like 2 Pale Moon decks, so I'm like, where's the Dark Irregulars? I feel like Dark Irregular is gonna really add in some spice though, depending on how they create the deck. So we'll see. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. Simon, one day that I'm actually gonna spend some good money on this game. Daigo special set. Let's go. Premium set.
Oh, not even a premium set, dude. If they ever retrain Sanctuary Guard Dragon, I know you're in. I know you were so far back in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna play that rush deck with the cuter pile.
I know how you are.
Oh yeah, Saragon's gonna be 100% alive now.
Yeah,
it gets its true reprint in the deck itself.
Yeah. Like, what really entices me about encounter decks, because, like, I don't know if you guys saw with, like, Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, they do retrain. So, obviously, there's some very old school cards that were just hot trash. But then they kind of got retrained, right? So they got reprinted. They got printed for the modern era, and they actually do useful things. So this is what I hope, as we see more encounter decks, that the old school decks, they just get brought into the modern era with some updated versions of their skills, but you still have that unique identity for them. Because I don't know, I just want to grind out games with a mod and then have some cheap guard restriction or fun numbers to do while I blow up your field. That's really what I want to do.
I like how Gabe is sitting here with me. He's like, Simon, bro, I need to get a Moan back. And I was like, it's going to be. It's not going to be a Moan. It's going to be Shahiro, bro.
Well, whatever allows me to play Doreen with Dark Irregulars, I don't give a damn. I'm not playing Lukier. Like, that's it. Like,
chill. You can play Harry and just never activate Doreen's effect.
No. That's even worse.
I tried. Sorry, David.
Don't talk about that garbage deck with me.
But I was gonna say, I think I want to see like a whole set dedicated to like encounter decks. I don't really care if they show Harith or Amon, but it would be nice to see Doreen actually in their decks. And same with the Cocoa, is that Coco actually belongs in OTT, and it should not be played with any other cards.
I know.
You're hijacked it.
Dude, if they make OTT, oh man, people are gonna freak out if it's Battle Sisters. They'll go nuts over that.
Nah, Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi.
I mean, Tsukuyomi with the ride deck, pretty sick.
I mean, the design's right there.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, design's right there.
You literally could just do the same exact thing with the ride line.
Yeah. And now that they have Cocoas, they can draw extra cards. And I think all they have to do is like reprint Silent Tom and the Medusa, and they're good. They're cooking.
I would play it and then make Scarlet Witch Coco.
Yeah, see, I feel like that if they do more of these encounter decks, that would actually bring up some different spices into the game.
And I mean, it's obviously a way for like old school players and new players to kind of connect to it as well. Because then, they could see, because new players can kind of see what they missed out on early on, and then they can kind of relive it.
We get to do the legitimate version of the back in my day.
Yeah, no, seriously, I remember some of the new guys in our locals. They actually went back to watch the old school like Vanguard anime.
It was the best.
Into premium. Because they got into premium and then they were just watching the old ones.
Yeah.
Old stuff.
Nah, dude, Vanguard original, still the best anime. Still the best one out of all the Vanguards.
Simon, I want to agree with you so badly, but at the same time, I really think the new Divines anime is probably the best anime, in my opinion.
New Divines is good. But it's not as good as original with Aichi and the first Soul Saver, Ren being a totally not homo creepazoid with Aichi. My old boyfriend Kai is with you, but let me show you what real power is. I'm like, whoa. I was like, yo, man, I kind of like that, but
I mean, we should honestly have a whole entire podcast making like a tier list of all the Vanguard seasons.
Yeah, we can do
Six.
that the next one.
I don't know, dude. The 6 Vanguard players that are out there would start coming onto the podcast in the comments section, and they just start going off.
Yeah, it gets engagement.
Engagement.
I'm not gonna lie.
Opinions are fine.
Yeah.
Opinions are fine until you put a rating system on it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I actually think it'll be fun. We'll definitely put it as a next topic, and with a different topic as well. We can like use it as an outro topic. I think it'll be fun. So have your list ready by next week. Well, not next week, but the next time we meet up, Simon. I want to see you I want to see you in the next podcast as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta start joining.
My list is already here, buddy.
I know. I like having you on the podcast. Look how fun we're having. It's like we're doing our casual Vanguard talk, but you know we're just being careful.
Yeah, you guys are just circle jerking royal paladins with each other. It's disgusting.
What was that, Cogro boy? Last I checked, you had to stand yourself up. I stand up my allies. I'm not a selfish prick like you. God. The nerve of this guy.
Whatever, I burned your town down.
And then I call it back. My resources are expendable.
No, it's not. There's a cost to it. That's why you're getting outclassed by other clans.
No, man. I am willing to make the sacrifice of your lives.
You can only afford to rebuild your town so many times.
Nah, dude, all Royal Paladin players are just Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Yeah. Your lives are a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Basically.
No, for sure. I mean, but let's go ahead and wrap up. I think it's been a good. Oh wow, hour 15. We're doing pretty good today. See, it's exactly what I predicted. We're gonna just bounce off and talk about random stuff, and it's gonna take like an extra 30 minutes. But all right, let's go ahead and do our shout outs. We'll start with you, Simon.
Well, I have no shout outs anymore because my shop had to close down. But they were great, and I will never forget them.
Well, you can still mention them.
Mythos Games, rip, goodbye. I'll miss you forever.
I was gonna say shout outs to what's his name? I forgot. Damn. All right, Gabe, go ahead.
David. Wow, David.
Wow.
Hold on. No. Not Gabe. Gabe, go ahead and do your shout outs. I was like thinking of another name. Go ahead. Go.
Well, shout outs to our locals. We even have another locals that's up and coming, Gaming Giant. I'm going to be looking to try and make my appearance there regularly once we get.
They're changing days, by the way.
Together. Really? What day?
They're thinking about Thursday nights. Because I think there was a lot of opinions to not do Sundays. So they were asking if we can do Thursday nights instead.
Oh, well, no basketball for you then. Anywho, we'll talk about that after. Just shout outs to all the locals. Shout outs to just the Vanguard community. Without you guys, the game wouldn't exist. And just happy card fighting, people.
Okay, I finally remembered. I am so sorry if you're listening to this. Shout outs to Andrew at Utah for entertaining Simon.
Oh, you were about to say Andy. You're like, wait, no, that's the wrong Asian with an American name.
I am going to force Andrew to watch this straight up.
So shout outs to Andrew for hanging out with Simon because Simon was super bored down there. So shout outs to him, and obviously he's been funding round 1 really well. So shout outs to him for that.
He's got so many of those stupid cards.
Shout outs to Andy, actually. Now that you mentioned it, he actually unfortunately had to move down to South Virginia, but he was one of our teammates at Blitz. So shout outs to him as well. Hope you're doing well. Even though we actually just talked like a couple minutes about the Liel deck, so let's see. Shout outs to Curio Caverns, Gaming Giant, and Boba Hero at Sterling, and then shout outs to Blue 52 Cafe. I recently got my shirt and my merch and my coffee. We need to try. Yeah, we gotta try out their coffee soon, so I'm looking forward to that. And then shout outs to JP's curtain calls. I haven't been really picking up a lot of products in general, but they still do support me really well. We have a set 9 case coming from JP's curtain calls, so I'm looking forward to the case. So thank you for that, and make sure you guys check them out. My code, as you know, is AMVG, so make sure you get your discount as well. And then shout out to Simon. I haven't seen him in a while, and he was like, "Yo, I want to join." I was like, "Okay, yes, let's do this." So shout out to Simon. But
yeah, like,
yeah.
yeah, it's nice to be back and talking with the dudes again.
Yeah, we get to talk about Vanguard, and then I'm pretty sure as soon as this shuts down, you're gonna have your fun talking with Gabe.
If you want to call it fun.
It's fun for me to watch. It's not fun for Gabe to be victimized to it, but that's a different story. All right. Anyways, I will wrap up the podcast. I will see you guys in the next whenever we do it. Adios.